Welcome to the red half of Sheffield. Yes, back again for another preview. This time, Sheffield United are going to lose to Ipswich, probably not even cross the halfway line. Register 0 shots on target, 0 shots on goal, 0 shots in the game. Probably have about 28% possession. That's a long-winded intro for we are here to preview Ipswich v Sheffield United to kick the EFL schedule back off Friday night under the lights. And to preview this one from the Blue Monday podcast, I am joined by Adam. How are you doing today, Adam?
Very well, thanks.
So let's get into it. How are you okay with how the season has started for Ipswich? Because everybody at the beginning of the year, all the talking heads, any podcast you listen to, no chance Ipswich doesn't go straight back up. They planned last year when they were in the Premier League, bought championship players with eyes of going back down and then immediately coming back up. So with your start, as we talked pre-recording, are you surprised a little bit that you're not, I mean, you've had the tougher start to the season, so it's okay. But are you a little bit surprised you're not at the top or near there?
Yeah, I think when Sky was scheduling this fixture, they probably expected it to be a promotion battle. Like you mentioned, I'm pretty sure 90% of pundits had us top of the league in the predictions, not just top two, but top. I think a lot of Town fans were probably seeing automatic promotion as the minimum. A few more were probably thinking maybe playoffs, but I think anything outside of 6th place this year will probably be a disappointment. I think, like you mentioned, the way that the fixtures worked out, we ended up with a Birmingham side who I think will be in the top 6 this season. I think they're a very good side, despite coming up from League One. They've invested heavily. They've got a very good core of a team there. And then Southampton, who are in a bit of a similar situation to us, and have also struggled a little bit. I think they're currently sat 13th, which probably isn't where they'd want to be either. And then Preston and Derby were teams that you'd kind of be expecting us to beat, but back down in the Championship, facing low blocks and gamesmanship and all of that sort of stuff, I think is it takes a bit of getting used to. And the transfer window staying open, I think, has definitely been detrimental to us in the mood around the club, in having want-away players who wanted Premier League moves, or players who just wanted to leave to play more football. I think despite being on just 3 points, the performances haven't been that bad. There's clearly been a readjustment period with the amount of turnover, and I don't think it's the amount of turnover that anyone would have expected at the start of the season. I think we've had 11 or 12 out of the door and 11 or 12 in the door.
That's a lot.
Some of that is personal situations. Some of that is just players moving on. But now that the window's closed, hopefully there's a settled squad where players know their positions and know their roles going forward, because I think that's been a huge part of it. McKenna's been trialing out different formations, different setups, and a lot of the reason that we were tipped to be up there is because we had 2 championship golden boot winners in Smodics and Akpom, players who scored a lot of goals in the championship last time or were standout players. Jacob Greaves was in team of the season. Jack Clark was awesome for Sunderland. But it's that individual talent's not quite clicked together in a cohesive team pattern. The optimist in me is hoping that will happen soon and we'll rise up the table, but it's definitely not the start that we'd have wanted, and it leaves us with more work to do now.
Yeah, that's I like how you summed that up, and you did touch on one of my next points, the transfer window. And when you were talking about the 11 players going in and 11 players going out, and how it's been kind of a bumpier start through the month of August, I had a thought. I don't know if this registers with you or not, but with all these players, and it doesn't matter what squad you're in, up and down the pyramid, until that window is shut, there's an era of, may this player get lured away when we think we have them, and then it leads to a little bit of unsettlement in the squad. And I think once that window has slammed shut, now we can actually focus on the players that are going to be here to at least January. No more incomings, no more outgoings. You can just focus on the football and putting points on the board. You agree with that?
Yeah, and I think you've definitely seen it in your situation as well with Sheffield United. There was quite a lot of turnover right at the end of deadline day, and it doesn't surprise me that the teams at the top of the table at the moment, the Middlesbroughs, the Coventrys, the ones that are scoring goals, have kept the vast majority of their players. They've not added many, they've not lost many. They've been those consistent teams, and they're the ones that are up the top of the table at the moment. I think it definitely has a detrimental impact.
Yeah, it's almost like you give those teams a kind of a 3 or 4 week head start, and then once the quote unquote bigger teams with the more money in this league get everything sorted by Christmas, it'll kind of shake itself out, and you'll have, in a sense, the cream will rise to the top. So before we get to previewing Friday night's game, end of the day, last day of the season, last game, full-time whistle. Is Ipswich in the playoffs, or are they in the Premier League?
Oh, it's so hard to tell at the moment with the new signings. I think our window's been okay. I think there's probably still some gaps there. I think if it's this squad through to the end of the season, I think we're in the playoffs. I think if we have a good January window, if we're up there and thereabouts and we can tempt a couple more star players to get us over the line, which is what we've done in previous seasons. Our League One promotion season, we were kind of there or thereabouts, and then signed George Hurst and Nathan Broadhead to help get us over the line. And then in the Championship, we brought in Kiefer Moore when we were in a bit of a striker injury crisis. So we do tend to have good January windows. So I think this squad all the way through playoffs, if we have a good January window, get another striker in my opinion, that's where we're quite weak at the moment, then top two.
God, you really want to go back to the Premier League, though? Because I don't. I would much rather Sheffield United stay a championship side. I understand we all know the Premier League and the glitz and the glamour and the money, and everything's controlled by money now, so all these teams need it. But do you want to go and be a part of that disaster again?
It's one of those. My first ever game was a Premier League game back in 1999. Ipswich won, Man United won, and David Beckham scored a free kick. And we had 2 seasons in the Premier League then, and then it's been Championship and League One football since then. So last season was very much it's just nice to be back, to go to some of these grounds. I was 5 years old the last time we were there, 5 and 6. So I didn't get to go to any away days. So it was like first time at Old Trafford, first time at Anfield, those sort of things. That experience was amazing and really good. But yeah, there's definitely a part of you that enjoys the Championship season more, because you're going into games and you don't necessarily know the result. I feel like a lot of games against the top 6 or 7, despite the fact that we beat Tottenham, who didn't end up being top 6 or 7 team, but you're going there and you're like, oh, maybe we can get a point.
Yeah.
Maybe the VAR doesn't give a penalty to Man City because it's a sky blue shirt, like all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a bit of a double-edged sword. I think it's still just about worth it for me.
Yeah. No, I get it. It's some people vary. I mean, there's some people, winning every week, but I mean, hell, look at us. We haven't won a league game yet. Only scored 1 goal, and so it feels like miles away. But when and then you get kicked in the balls in the playoff final and lose on the last kick of the game, and it's disheartening. And then you're like, well, next year's going to be fun, opposed to going into the Premier League where, no offense to Sheffield United or Ipswich or anyone, we weren't going to spend any money. I guarantee we weren't going to spend hell, what if Sunderland spent 150 million pounds or something about that trying to stay up? If you're getting close to it's approaching 200 million pounds to stay in that division, and you're not even guaranteed more than one season. And it's like you handle the funds the wrong way, and your season could go sideways. And then before you know it, you could be like Luton in the third division. So I mean, it like you mentioned, it is a double-edged sword. Moving on to Friday night. How bad do you think Ipswich beats Sheffield United? Because I think it's probably 2-3-0. The only reason it might be a lower scoreline because we're coming out of an international break, but I don't think Sheffield United aren't going to have a sniff.
Yeah, it's one of the ones that I'm probably looking forward to in a weird kind of way, in that I don't think they'll be like Derby or Preston. They'll try and play football. Obviously, you've got some very talented players in there, and in Hamer is someone who I've liked for a long time. But I think that the more open game might suit Ipswich at Portman Road.
Mm-hmm.
And that will play into our hands. I still think, like I mentioned, there's a lot of new players, a lot of people figuring out their roles. So I'm not expecting a big win. I think for both of us, it's very important to get those first 3 points on the board. You mentioned pre-recording that you've not got a single point yet. We've only got 3, and none of those have been wins. So we've had 3 draws. Portman Road has not seen a win all calendar year, apart from a victory against Bristol Rovers in the FA Cup. Obviously, some of that's due to Premier League football, but that's still something that we'll need to get off our backs before too long. Yeah. Otherwise, like you mentioned, you could end up in the Luton type spiral. So I am still optimistic and confident. Portman Road can be turned into a fortress soon, and I think it's a very good time to be playing you. I feel like you had a good end to the window with some of the signings. I don't think Ogbene can play against us. I'm hoping he can't with the loan move, but I think he'll help balance that attacking 3, which feels very unbalanced at the moment. I think I saw Tom Cannon played right wing a little bit, and so
he's worthless.
So I'm going for a win, but not a big one. I think maybe like a 2-1.
Yeah, hopefully. Oh God, I would. Oh man, what I do for a goal to go and just see the ball back of the net bulge. It'd be freaking great. It would be absolutely freaking great. But it's we got to get small steps. But God help us if we lose, because the pitchforks are going to be out for Sayers, and we'll probably have a new manager before our next league match. Before we get out of here, Adam, tell the people where they can find the Blue Monday pod.
Yeah, so Blue Monday is on YouTube, on Spotify, all over the place. I do a Monday night show, but there's daily content on there. We do previews, reviews. I've done a data deep dive for this international break. You can find me on socials at ITFC Data as well, if you're more of a data person. And they're the main places to find us. Yeah,
check them out. If you haven't done so, Red Half of Sheffield anywhere and everywhere, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, X, YouTube, this video will be up. So, all right, I'm going to wrap this one up. And until the next match preview, I will leave you with Up the Blades.